Well, no, he's Paco's gonna start. Jesus is gonna start recording. So if y'all don't want to be famous and show your faces, feel free to um, to not show your screen. But yeah, as I was saying, a little bit more about who Power California is, right? At Power California, we believe we can make California stronger. We all have an equal say in the decisions that impact our lives. But right now, the voices that are mostly missing from our system of governance are young people of color and their families. That's why Power California harnesses the energy of young voters of color and their families to create a state that is equitable, inclusive, and just for everyone who calls California their home. We are a statewide multiracial civic engagement organization made up of on-the-ground community partners in urban, suburban, and rural communities throughout the state. We're across California from Sonoma all the way down to San Diego. Power California has been doing this work since 2016, and our purpose is to build leaders across California. So we do community outreach, leadership development, and voter mobilization, right? Now that you've heard a little bit about me and about who Power California is and what we do, I want to hear more uh, about you, right? So before I put you into a breakout room so y'all can discuss and share with the people that are in this meeting, I please feel free to screenshot these questions. They will be dropped in the group chat, but just so you have a picture ahead of time. I want to know, do you remember your first political action? What inspired you to take that action? And why are you here today? Right? We know it's early in the morning. So let's just vibe out of each other's vibes and hopefully y'all can get to know each other. So Paco, if you have time to create breakout rooms of 2 to 3 people.
Sure, I'll go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so I went ahead and created them. I'm about to open them, and then you guys can feel free to join them when you're ready. Okay. Um,
I believe there's one more person in here.
yeah, there you go. Okay. Um,
Can you double
and
check
then
that no one is alone in a breakout room? Because I know I'm also
yeah, there's just one group with 2 people, but uh,
the rest of them.
everyone else has 3.
Okay,
Yeah, so
perfect.
I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Okay.
So sorry about the mishap. I was
It,
like,
it happens. This is like I said, this is a virtual reality.
yeah, and then I was like on my phone and I was trying to leave and I accidentally ended the meeting.
It
Uh,
happens. I've done that too. We're in the middle of campaign. And so now we do most of our work during campaign time. What we do is it's as if we're working in person, but everything is through Zoom. And
mhm,
sometimes I'm like, all right, everyone, if I end this because I'm such a dork, if I end the meeting, just hop back on, you know?
right.
Yeah, it happens. This is our virtual reality. I feel like,
Sadly.
yeah, I feel like this group is a little bit more serious.
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, it's a little bit more people, so that's cool too.
Oh shit, I didn't even take time of how long they've been in that breakout room.
It's probably been like a minute or 2.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
do
Let me pause.
we can have 2 to 3 people share out. I want to hear from you. Y'all heard from me. Y'all are gonna hear a lot from me today. So I want to hear. I want to get to know who are people in this. Some of the people that are on this call. So feel free. I am gonna actually, before we get started, I'm gonna set some community agreements, right? One mic, making sure that we're mute ourselves while someone is speaking. Throw glitter, not shade, right? Let's not be disrespectful. Let's show some love. If you like what someone is saying, throw some snaps. They're awesome stickers where you can go ahead, right? Show some love to people. And also just mostly of all, let's just be respectful towards each other, right? And now I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself if someone wants to go ahead and get us started.
I can go first. I was with Jessica and Chloe, and we all kind of talked about. We're all relatively new to like the political scene. Like voting was kind of our first impact, and also like just over the summer as the pandemic with the Black Lives Matter movement and how it's progressed. So I think we're from our group, like we're just here to learn about how we can start getting involved beyond like voting and just like those basic like foundational things that we've learned thus far.
Thank you for sharing, Lauren. It's like I tell my high school students, not everyone at once, please. But don't be shy. Anyone else that would like to share, why are they here today?
I could talk. I'm here today. I'm a political science major, and I think, like, I know that voting in this country, we talk a lot about democracy, and then a lot of people don't vote, and a lot of people don't have the opportunity to vote or the privilege to vote. So I'm here today to learn more about how we can get young people engaged and how we can really encourage voting in a safe way.
One more person would like to share.
My
Sure.
name's Nicole. I use she, her pronouns. I think the first like actual political action I took is after Trump won in the 2016 election. Me and some of my friends decided that we wanted to schedule a walkout during fifth period for our whole school because I was in high school at the time. So a lot of people were in that. And it was really empowering just to see how many people were there. I'm sure a lot of them were just there to skip class, but it was empowering to see that people actually cared to a certain extent. I'm here today because I'm also a poli sci major. I'm also in a service org, so I'm required, but I'm at this one in particular because I think it's really empowering for young voters and people to know that they do have a voice and stuff does matter. And like, my group was talking about the Georgia election a little bit and seeing that like you actually can switch states that are primarily red or, either way, honestly. And so, yeah, just empowering young voters and empowering voters to begin with.
Thank you for sharing. And Kevin, I know you wanted to share out, so I'm gonna I'm gonna make some space. Would you like to share?
Sure. Like I don't know. I think like I was also in the group too, so it was like pretty similar. Um, the one thing I noticed with the other two people is that like I feel like they like are braver than I am because like I feel like at least for me, I went to like a conservative high school and someone else from my group did too. And they actually like tried to like change like the like atmosphere, but like I didn't because like to be honest, if you go to like a really conservative high school, you get a lot of shit on if you try to like advocate for yourself and other issues.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Kevin. Thank you all for sharing. We're on this webinar today because we are building the legacy of our ancestors and the 7 generations that come before us and the 7 generations that will come after us. Their struggle has shown us that we fight and we win, right? So if I can get a volunteer to read out our purpose and our objective.
Can I do it? Okay. Purpose, we will examine the work students and community members have been doing to build the power people necessary to dismantle systemic racism in California. Objectives, understand the difference between institutional and people power in relation to governance, sharing opportunities to get involved and make a difference in your community.
Thank you. So now systems of power, right? How do we, how would you define power? When you think about power, what are the words or images that come to your mind? please drop in the chat or feel free. This group is small, so we can go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to say it out loud, or just drop it in the chat.
One way I define power is by is when people have the courage to speak out, even if they know it's not the easiest option.
Yeah, you're right. But for the purpose of this workshop, the definition we'll use is the ability to control circumstances and influence decisions, right? So what do y'all see in this image? How many people are at the top versus how many people are in the bottom? Who has the power and who does not, right? Who has power in our society? What is the relationship between these two groups? The relationship between these two groups is that the people on the bottom are holding up the people at the top. The people at the bottom are building the pyramid higher and higher. And even though they are putting in all that work, the people on the bottom are staying on the bottom. And the people at the top are getting higher. This image helps us understand how institution of power operates, right? What is institutional power? The power or authority to exert power over individuals. What are some of the examples that exert power in our society to control people and their behaviors? Again, if you want to go ahead and drop it in the chat or unmute yourself. The IRS, media outlets. Okay. Yeah. Corporations, right? Government, schools. What we can learn from the pyramid is power is that the influence of those at the top completely rests on our shoulders, everyday working class people. In other words, if we step back and let the bricks fall, those in power will fall. So even though we might be at the bottom of this pyramid, we do have a great deal of power. That is what we refer as to people power, right? Look at what happens. Yes. So people power, the power that all of us have every day, the power that all of us have every day, people to collectively make a change, right? Collectively, we can make significant structure change happen. In fact, we are part of a long legacy of movement builders that has demonstrated our people power and made major progress. Much of that work has brought us to current political moments, right? As multiple cities around the country have risen up in solidarity with Black lives and to stop anti-Asian hate, to combat white supremacy, many people are also thinking differently about the role of government and where our public dollars are going. Now is the time for us to bring more people into the movement and commit to organizing and to build people power, right? Now that we have some basic understanding of power, it's important to look at how it relates to our system of governance. How many of you have heard the phrase like, if you don't vote, you can't complain, or if you don't like it, then leave, right? We heard a lot, if you don't like it, you can just leave the past 4 years, right? We often hear that the United States is the greatest democracy in the world, and voting is usually the first example people think about. But what does democracy really look like in the United States? It has taken people power and organized movements to create a more democratic and inclusive society in the United States. And that's why we say democracy is a verb. Democracy is people power put into action. So what are some examples of organized movements? I'm gonna go ahead and do breakout rooms again. So Jesus, if you have, if we can break out folks in the same order, or we're gonna take 3 minutes and y'all can think about what are some examples of organized movements.
Sure. And I just put everyone in the same group so you all feel comfortable with everyone.
Thank you, Jesus.
Mhm.
See you all back soon.
Okay, and then I'm just gonna broadcast the thing again so that they have it. What are some examples of organized movements?
This is slow, or right? I'm not going rushing as the other one.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Everything seems. Oh, let me pause the recording.
Does anyone want to share out what are some of the examples that some organized movements?
Someone put in the chat BLM.
Civil rights movement, right? Glad. Yeah. So, right, the abolitionist movement, Chicano resistance, women's suffrage movement, right? So we know that women have been forefront of the movements, and we need to acknowledge them and their contribution, right? So we have abolitionist and women's rights activists, Sojourner Truth, and civil rights leader Ella Baker, as well as a Black Lives Matter protester. We know that the Black Lives Movement started with women of color, right? So we know that, as I said, women of color have been the forefront of the movement, and it's time to acknowledge that, right? So now we're gonna go over, right, governance in the United States has never been